If you sell on Shopify, this by far is the single biggest sales tax mistake that we see, and you're likely making this mistake also. Shopify allows merchants to turn on sales tax collections without first validating that they're registered with the state. Yes, Shopify asks you to enter a sales tax ID number, but here's the issue. That number does not have to be valid. Shopify does not confirm whether you are actually registered with the state before allowing you to collect tax from your customers. And that creates a very dangerous situation for sellers who don't fully understand how sales tax works. Here's why this happens. And to be fair to Shopify, validating sales tax permits across all states would be extremely difficult. Each state has different systems, formats, and processes. So Shopify leaves that responsibility with the merchant, aka you. The real issue is that Shopify does not clearly warn sellers what's at stake when they turn on collections without a permit. There should be a message in bold that says, if you do not currently hold a sales tax permit in this state, do not turn on tax collections. Instead, many sellers assume, if Shopify lets me turn it on, I must be allowed to collect. Well, that assumption is where things go wrong. And this is why this is such a serious mistake. Collecting sales tax without being registered is not a small technical issue. From a sales tax perspective, this is one of the most fundamentally wrong things a business can do in the eyes of the state. When you collect sales tax, you are acting as an agent for that state. You're collecting that money that does not belong to you and holding it on the state's behalf. If you're not registered, you are not authorized to do that. In the sales tax world, this situation is often referred to as tax collected, not remitted, sometimes abbreviated as TCNR. TCNR is treated very differently than simply failing to collect tax. From the state's point of view, you charged customers tax, you labeled it as tax, but you were not legally allowed to collect it. That money is viewed as being held improperly, and in some cases, it is treated similarly to theft. Yikes! That's not meant to scare you, it's meant to explain why states treat this issue so seriously. Almost no one does this intentionally. What usually happens is Shopify suggests a state, the seller turns on tax collections, a placeholder or incorrect permit number is entered, and tax starts being charged at checkout. Everything looks normal, sales continue, reports look fine, nothing feels broken until there's a notice, or an audit, or a question about why tax was collected before registration. That's when this mistake surfaces, and by then, the exposure can be meaningful. But this next part is important. If you realize that you've collected sales tax without being registered, do not panic. This is fixable. The key is to get that tax off of your books as quickly as possible. But how you do that matters. Generally speaking, there are two possible paths forward. One, refunding the tax back to customers, or two, registering with the state and remitting the tax properly. It's critical to understand that refunding tax is only appropriate if you did not actually have Nexus and collected or registered in error. If you did have Nexus and simply failed to register before collecting, refunding customers is usually not the correct solution. In that case, the tax was legitimately owed, it just wasn't handled correctly. Which option makes sense depends on how much tax was collected, how long it's been happening, which states are involved, whether Nexus actually existed, and whether customers can reasonably be refunded. A sales tax expert can help you evaluate the facts, determine whether Nexus was present, and guide you toward the cleanest and least risky way to resolve that issue. The worst thing you can do is ignore it and hope it goes unnoticed. And here's the bigger lesson. Shopify is a powerful platform, but it is not a gatekeeper for compliance. Just because Shopify allows you to do something does not mean it is legally correct for your business. Sales tax compliance starts before collections begin, not after. You must register before you collect. You must be authorized before you charge tax, and no software can make that decision for you. Understanding this distinction is one of the most important important things a Shopify seller can learn. If you remember one thing from this video, let it be this. Never turn on sales tax collections in a state unless you are properly registered to collect there. That single step can prevent some of the most painful sales tax issues that we see. And if you're not sure whether your current setup is correct, that's exactly the moment to pause and verify before the state does it for you. Speaking of proper setups, if you want to know how to set up Shopify tax for each state once you are properly registered, check out this video. And remember, when in doubt, always consult with a sales tax professional.